Anime in 2024 has been absolutely killing it. The year has been full of surprises, with shows that have pushed the boundaries of anime, creating modern classics that have left their mark on the scene and will leave a lasting impact for years to come. I Parry Everything is not one of those shows. It checks every box of why it wouldn't be. It has a generic protagonist look, complete with a stupid brown hair, a title so long you wonder how the fuck it even fit on the cover, an animation budget rivaling that of the 7 Deadly Sins, and most importantly, it got the stupidest main character ever. It sounds horrible, it looks horrible, and it's rated horribly. In fact, it somehow has a worse rating than Rent a Girlfriend, which is an achievement in itself. Yet, for some reason, it's one of the most watched anime this season. But why? Why would anyone want to watch something considered this bad? Well, simply because despite all its flaws, it's just so much fun to watch. While I usually enjoy anime that make me think, where I have to place things together to truly understand it, sometimes I just want to turn off my brain and enjoy something silly. And I Parry Everything does that perfectly. But how? This is Nor. He's just a young kid living a simple life in the woods with his mother, who is unfortunately quite sick. Noru takes on all the household responsibilities like cooking, feeding the animals, and maintaining their home. Despite his age, he's more than willing to carry the burden, driven by love for his mother. Every day is the same, filled with chores, quiet moments, and a sense of duty until one day... Sadly, his mom passed away. After her death, Nor starts working even harder. One day, while going through some of his father's old things, he stumbles upon a book his dad used to read him every night. The stories of heroes and adventures spark something inside him, a desire to become someone who could make a difference. For the first time in his life, Nor leaves his home and ventures out into the unknown. Eventually, he finds himself in a city filled with hope and ambition, but as often happens, reality doesn't match expectations. There he starts attending different schools, hoping to master a skill he can excel at. But after trying again and again and again, each school rejects him, telling him he's too weak. Or at least that's what he believes, but we will come back to that later. The point is, each rejection chips away at his confidence, and he begins to wonder if he will ever find his place. With no one to guide him and no school willing to take him in, Noru returns home and begins training alone. He repeats the basic skills he learned at those schools, hoping to unlock something new. This goes on for years until little Noru grows up, still clinging to his dreams. Eventually, he becomes an adventurer. Though not the kind he had hoped. Without any advanced skills, he is ranked at the lowest possible tier. But guess what? He actually loves it. He takes on the simplest missions, helping people with mundane tasks, and finds joy in the small victories. I really appreciated this message in the show. You don't need to be strong to help others. As an adult, Noru continues training and taking simple missions until one day, everything goes south. A huge monster appears, far stronger than anything Noru or anyone around him has ever faced. People are dying left and right, and the chaos around him is overwhelming. At first, Noru does what he can to buy time, hoping that someone stronger will arrive to save the day. But soon it dawns on him that no one is coming. If he doesn't act, everyone will die. In a moment of desperation, he finds a strength that he didn't know he had, and against all odds, he defeats the beast in a thrilling battle. This is where episode 1 ends, and that's as far as I initially watched for my seasonal video, where I said that this could turn out to be something really good. At first, I thought the show had real potential. Noru's backstory was compelling, his desire to help others felt genuine, and this seemed like a refreshing departure from the typical overpowered protagonist we often see in fantasy anime. I was excited, but oh man, I was so wrong. Or was I? You know, I've watched so many anime that started strong with a great premise, but they quickly fell off because they failed to maintain the emotional peak set in the beginning. Initially, I Parry Everything seemed like one of those shows, but it actually turned out quite good in the end. So now, in these next 2 segments, I want to talk about why this anime was so hated at the start, and why it suddenly became so well liked again. First and foremost, there are 2 things you should know about Nor. 1, he's not weak at all, he's super strong and incredibly talented. And 2, and I don't use this word lightly, he is retarded. I'm not the only one saying that. The common joke during these 12 weeks has been about how much he is on the spectrum, which a lot of people really disliked. If you look at any early reviews, the main complaint is that he's the stupidest person in the world. And honestly, they are right. It can get annoying as hell. Now, why did this turn people off so much? Well, I think it's because most viewers are used to seeing protagonists who are either intelligent or at least aware of their own strengths. Nor, on the other hand, operates in a completely different space. He's hilariously oblivious, and while that might sound like a fresh take, it really threw people for a loop. I mean, just look at a few examples. Nor gets challenged to fight a super strong guy who's trying his best to embarrass him, but without breaking a sweat, Nor defeats him. Now, the logical conclusion would be, oh wow, I'm actually pretty strong. But what does Nor come up with?
かわせるギリギリの速度に調整してもらえていなかったら今頃俺は死んでいた。慢心は死につながることをわざわざ警告してくれたのだ。
Dude, he didn't try to go easy on you, you're better. He is true to the title of the anime, he parries away everything. Goblins, an entire fucking army, common sense, love interest, and even a gajillion dollars that the king wanted to give him after he saved his daughter. You know what? He might just be the GOAT. But jokes aside, outside of that, the show is actually really good. There is zero fanservice at all, the two protagonists has a wholesome relationship without a single shade of romance in it, no annoying gag humor, and the show takes itself pretty seriously. And even Nor's idiosyncrasies can be explained pretty easily. He is not necessarily a stupid MC who never learns. If you had lived in a place where you never interacted with anyone outside of your parents, who, by the way, died quite early on, you wouldn't know any better either. Even though he is the strongest, he's constantly thrown into situations he's never experienced and simply lacks the context and perspective to understand that he is strong. The show uses this obliviousness not just as a running gag, but as a way to deconstruct the typical overpowered protagonist trope. No sheer lack of awareness about his abilities set him apart from other heroes in the genre who tend to flaunt their power or at least have an idea of their strength. This oblivion, in a way, makes Nor's journey more compelling. While he's ridiculously strong, the fact that he doesn't realize it adds a layer of innocence to his character that you don't often see. Now, the second reason people have premature reviews is that he is strong. Usually, when you see a protagonist this powerful, it feels undeserved or lazy, like the writers are just making things easy for the character. But with Nor, we actually see him train. Sure, it's for an arbitrary amount of time, but it's there, and it makes his strength feel earned, even if he doesn't fully understand it himself. Watching him fight feels more satisfying because we know he put in the effort, even if he's too stupid to realize he just defeated a fucking dragon. Honestly, it's actually everyone else's fault that he's this clueless. How did all the teachers realize that he was really strong and could be useful, but not a single thought to tell him anything more than, you should try another school? What I think the show does extremely well is that despite its serious setting, it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's kind of remind me of what Kamikatsu did last year. There are just so many comedic scenes that are timed to perfection. This season, the peak brain rot comedy anime was Dokotan, but unlike that, this anime is actually funny. There's a self-awareness in the humor that makes it feel intentional rather than forced. Just imagine this scene. The kingdom is about to be destroyed by a super strong dragon that no one, except the king himself, has any chance of stopping. The king, ready to sacrifice himself, puts all his mana into one final attack that would basically kill him. The tension is high, everything is at risk. And then out of nowhere, Nor comes flying from thousands of miles away, doing 20 million flips in the air, and knocks out the dragon, saving the kingdom. Now that is peak comedy. All in all, I'd give this anime a 7 out of 10. It's definitely something I would recommend to people who want to watch something light, when you don't really have to think, but can still enjoy it for what it is. If you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. I make them every 2 weeks, or at least I try. Also check out this video if you want to see something similar from last year. Goodbye.